There's no language barrier anywhere. There's no language barrier. It is not mandatory for you to speak English. It is not. If you don't understand English, speak what you understand, at least one major language. So the same way they have forced us to speak English, to adapt or to adopt English as an official language in Africa, they couldn't do that to other countries in Europe because they're civilized, just like the Americans, just like the Canadians, just like the Western world. They are part of the Western world. Even Portuguese, you can't force Portugal people to speak other language in their country, in their territory. It's not done. So if you must go to their territory to seek for a permission to live or to work or to whatever you want to go there or to study, you must learn their language. You must. Just like you cannot, there is no French. Just like you're going to Canada, it's as simple as ABC. Just like you're going to Canada, you're going to US, and you don't understand English. How will you cope? They won't even give you visa. It's just like you want to go to school in Canada, you want to go to school in US, you must have English in your credit, in your O levels. You must have English, and you must have 5 credits, but English inclusive. You must have English in your O level. Even for us that we're speaking English back in Africa, they still require us to write some other test of English. I've seen many videos where so many African guys, especially people from Ghana and guys from Nigeria, are talking and making comparative measures. I've seen so many videos where they are comparing countries where you are supposed to go, where you're supposed to relocate. They talked about Europe, they talked about Canada, they talked about, especially Canada, they talked about UK, they talked about so many countries that if you actually want to japa, if you want to relocate and you want better life for yourself and your family, don't go to this place, go to this place. But I begin to laugh, I begin to think that why are we like this? The same mentality that we inherited from our colonial masters is still playing out in our heads. The mentality is tucked in us. Why am I saying this? I took my time to watch and listen to different kinds of videos on this very topic, and I decide to come up with my own. And I'll make sure that I'm objective enough and I do some level of justice to this video. I mean, to this topic. I'll do some level of justice. I will not base my videos only on what I think or even what I heard. I've based my videos on practicalities. One thing I have to say, I'm in Europe, but one thing I have to say is that even in Europe here, as a continent, there are so many countries that are categorized as the old Europe and the new Europe. I mean, the civilized Europe and the one that are still stuck in their own antique mentality. But basically, there is no country in Europe that will joke with this old culture. They won't joke with it. Their houses, they won't joke with it. But that is not where we're going today. Europe is beautiful. There's no doubt about that. There is no country that does not have its own limitation. There is no country, and it is common with Africans. We are the ones that usually compare countries. We compare countries, even though most of us from Africa, most of the countries in Africa, our values have been eroded. We don't talk about our own values, we talk about other people's values. They've stolen our identity. Our identity is no more there. We don't have an identity of our own. Let me make it clearer. Now, for example, somebody compared Canada to Europe. He didn't mention specifically a country. He forgot that Europe is a continent. There are so many countries in Europe. Even though many people tend to quickly say that they have language barrier. For me, they don't have language barrier. Let me expatiate. Okay, look at it this way. Now, for somebody in Canada that is saying that maybe he has lived in a place like Germany, like Italy, where you're required to understand the language before you can practically, be active, or you can practically become one of them. You can practically be initiated into their society. There is a saying that says, if you go to Rome, do like the people of the Rome. What I need to say here is that let us look at it from this angle. This is a basic standard that is obtainable everywhere, but it's just that our mentality in Africa, because of our identity, because we have lost our identity, and we don't have our own language. Yes, we speak other people's language. That is the fact in Africa. So when you talk about going to Europe where they don't speak English, especially those countries where they don't speak English, and you coming from Africa, our language, our official language, is not even our own language. It's their own language, English. Now, because you're going to Europe and they don't speak English in Europe, does not make them an antisocial country. It is just that they know their values more than we know ours. They know their values. They know it. English is one of the languages, I mean, if not the foremost language that is, that is well spoken averagely all over the world. Even at that, so many countries in Europe still don't sell their language, still don't look down on themselves like we do in Africa. For example, imagine an Italian in Canada. Now you're saying there is a language barrier. You are quick to say that. Language barrier, language barrier. Okay, for example, now let's imagine an Italian person in Canada or a Portuguese person in Canada. Is there any job for such person in Canada if he does not speak English? Is there any job that relates to his language? Because you're quick to say they don't speak English in Italy, they don't speak English in France, they don't speak English in Germany. You're quick to say all of that. How many people speak Italian in Canada or in US? That is the way it works. In your territory, you speak mainly your language, basically your language. Basically your language. And that is the way Europeans look at it. That if you are liberal in your country to speak your language and even enforce people to speak, almost 98% of people living in United States of America speak English. So why would you want to force English on them in another country? It's not possible. It is not possible. Almost even in Canada, apart from the French-speaking colonies, province, almost 85% of Canadians speak English. Why would you want to force English on other countries? Why would you want them to adopt English as if English is the world language? No, it's not the world language. They can as well mandate you to speak their language if you are mandated to speak English. So it's so unfortunate for Africans because we have lost our identity as far as language is concerned. We have lost it. We don't have language of our own. From the place I come from, I speak Yoruba. I'm from Nigeria. Even in school, if you speak Yoruba in school, they will term it a vernacular and they will make jest of you. And if you don't speak English very well, which is supposedly our official language, then you don't have anything in your head. That is the way they look at you, that you are not smart, that you are not educated when you don't speak English. When you don't speak English, you are not educated. That is the way we see it. So you must speak English to grow, to break borders, to break barriers. No! It is not like that. If an Italian person, a French person, a German person, a Dutch person, from Netherlands, from Austria, and all over the world, especially all over the Europe, can migrate to a place like Canada, a place like US, and speak English, why wouldn't you want to speak their language when you cross border to their own side? The language barrier, for me, there's nothing like language barrier. because even those people, even the countries in Africa colonized by France, they speak French in their countries. And it is easy for them to migrate to places like Paris, to go to France. People like Cote d'Ivoire, they speak French, and it's easier for them to migrate. So it's not all Africa that have issue with language problem. So many Africans who speak French, they go to France, they go to other French speaking countries, they go to Belgium, they speak French in Belgium. Even part of Canada speak French. So why would you want to purposely create a language barrier in between borders? If you are in my country, learn my language. That is the way it should work. Our mentality has been eroded in Africa. So please, if you want to migrate to anywhere, you have to learn their language to be able to incorporate into their system, evenly. Just like you're going to Canada, for example, you have to learn English. It's just like that. Why not call it language barrier? Yeah, why not call it language barrier? For those people who don't speak English, it's language barrier. It's rare. The percentage of people going from Cote d'Ivoire, from Republic of Benin, from Niger to places like Canada and US, it's a little proportion. It's a little percentage. They don't go there like we have people from Nigeria, we have people from Ghana, we have people from English speaking, let me call it colonies. So for them, it's a language barrier too. Going to Canada, it's a language barrier. Most of them, I see them on my vlogs. They ask so many questions. Even the way they type their English, you know that they don't understand English per se, and they have difficulties migrating to places like that. Even as students, they have difficulties. So this is just an either way thing. Coming from a French speaking countries, you tend to have some difficulties relating to English speaking countries. That is the way it works. So for Africans that have English language as their official language, migrating to places where they don't speak English, automatically it has become a language barrier. No, that's not the way it works. Not everybody speak English. You must note that. Not everybody. And everybody have pride in their language. So you shouldn't call it a language barrier when an Italian government make laws about about their language, about their lingua franca. It is their language. They can't lose it. They can't lose it like we lost ours in Africa. They don't want to lose theirs. It's their heritage. The same way you cannot force an English speaking person, to speak to speak an Italian in their territory. So you cannot force an Italian to speak or people to speak English in Italian territory or in French territory or in Germany or in German territory. So let us check it in that manner, and we'll be fair enough to say that I don't think there is anything like language barrier, because even in Europe, there are other parts of Europe that are, not really, really like the old Europe, the interior Europe. Like when you talk about UK is fast, is even fast separating from the whole Europe. They are the civilized, they are the upfront Europe. Let me call them upfront Europe. And in economy, everyone has got his own economy. And that is why we have the world economy, exchange rate. Everyone spends, in Canada, they have their own currency. In US, they have their own currency. In Europe, they have their different currencies. Not all of them spend euro as a currency. Not all of them. So you can't expect everyone to have the same dynamics of economic factors. You can't. It has to be different. All countries cannot be the same. I don't know why we Africans we are so overtaken by comparing other people's heritage, other people's values when we have lost our home. We talk about the economy. We talk about how much you can exchange their money, their currencies back home. You talk about their infrastructures. Where is our own? Where is our own? Should we even live in the first place? If not for tourism, should we even live in the first place? So I want to cap it all. There is no language barrier anywhere. There is no language barrier. It is not mandatory for you to speak English. It is not. If you don't understand English, speak what you understand, at least one major language. So for a person, I mean, for somebody that does not understand English, it's automatically a language barrier. Even for us, that they've enforced English on us as an official language, they still required us to write test of English. Only that recently they are now exempting exempting us from most of those things. It's really, really uncalled for. So if Africans, if we have lost our identity, those people that you tend to have language barrier, the meaning is that they have not lost their own identity. Because if you lose your language, language is part of your identity that you're known for. So if somebody successfully erode or overtake or successfully eliminate or erase your language from your air, from your tongue, and make your language that is supposed to be the first class language, the official language, they make it the second official language, that even if you now speak your language, you become like an inferior in your society. If you speak Yoruba in university, in Nigerian university, they look at you as you are inferior. If you speak pidgin to a lecturer, they ask you to speak in English, speak proper English. Because we're colonized by English people, they took away our language. We, ex- we now drop our own identity, and whenever we want to travel outside Africa, maybe to Europe or to a non-speaking English territory, we are quick to call it language barrier. It's not language barrier. Just for an Arabic, for an Arabic person, you cannot force him to speak a good English. He speak it the way he understands it because they value their own language. I think this should be an I hope now for all Africans all over the world. Thank God the language that we don't value, the same English speaking people, the same US now values it more than we value it. Even in Ghana, they have their own language that they speak. But now we're fighting over who speak better English between Nigeria and Ghana. Imagine better English, not even our language, our African language. Pidgin is there. Nobody's promoting it. So let us learn. The more we lose our identity, the more we lose our values, the more we lose who we are, where we belong. But thank God, places like America, for example, recently in Maryland, you can now obtain your MOT through Yoruba language in Maryland. You can now do so many official things in Yoruba language in United States of America. So I hope someday it will come to a point where we'll have a Yoruba university where you apply from Nigeria, that if you don't have a Yoruba, you don't have a credit in Yoruba language, you won't be able to migrate to go to that school. It's coming to that because we don't value our thing. And we tend to quickly call it names. So if you want to relocate, please, let me just put this to you. Forget about language barrier. What they do, their culture, their values, their way of life, you have to learn it to be able to incorporate into their society better, fast. And if you know it's difficult for you, go to other countries where they speak the language you understand. And secondly, you don't have to copycat from somebody before you migrate. And there are so many people that have run from America to Europe. There are so many people that have migrated from Europe to America. There are so many people that have left Canada. The Canada they are talking about now. There are so many people complaining there is no job, there is no this, there is no that. Jobs, especially. Even the person that was presenting it, that was saying one of the videos that said Canada is better than Kiniko Kiniko. Even there was another video where he was talking about the hard way, talking about how it is very, very difficult to get jobs now in Canada. There in another video, he was saying Canada is better than. See, it depends on you. It depends on your destiny. Don't follow another person's. Don't run another person's race. Run your own race. If Canada is where God has destined you to be, if you go to Europe, you might not find a headway. If Europe is where God has destined you to be, if you run to Canada or you run to United States or you run to somewhere else, you might not have a headway. So don't run another person's race. They might be comparing so many other countries, but where your destiny has chosen for you, please. But that doesn't mean that you cannot try other places till you get to your final destination. Yeah, you can try other places. Some people have lived in Europe for many years, and at the end of the day, they ended up living their whole life in America. Some people are in America, and at the end of the day, they ended up coming back to Europe to buy homes, and they retired, and they retired into their homes in Europe. So please don't follow another person's clock. No follow another person's clock. Also, make I speak my own language too, so that I no go lose my identity. Please, relocating to anywhere in the world is not about the language you speak. It's about your goals. It's about your objectives. And when you, the subject, you are ready to give it all it takes, then success is near. Either you're going for schooling, either as a student, either even as a tourist, either as a worker, whatever. We have had so many stories. I've seen a story of a tourist, with somebody with a tourist visa that got to Canada and successfully got a job, and today is in Canada with a job permit. But that does not mean that is how the system works. You might try it, and oops, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't now make the person now come out now and talk, say make I tell you, you can now collect tourist visa, and when you get to Canada you change it to this thing. Meanwhile, that is how God patterned his own way. It doesn't work that way. It's not even in the system. You as a tourist, you forever remain a tourist. But if you listen to the story of the person that got his tourist visa turned to a job permit, you will know that it is not the way the system works. It is just 1 in 1,000. It could happen. Even the person that it happened to, I heard that it was while he was in Nigeria. He had already obtained a Canadian visa, but he has not left the shore of Nigeria. And he was looking for a job before then. So the employer contacted him that they are ready to employ him. So he now told the employer that he already got a visa, because they were saying that they will get a visa for him. They will even buy the flight ticket for him and the rest. But he told them that he has already gotten a visa. So they were happy and said, okay, come to Canada in the next 2 weeks. We'll be able to employ you and the rest. And they did everything before he even left. So it's different from you going to Canada with a tourist visa and thinking that you will get job with your tourist visa, or you will be able to change it easily. No, it doesn't work that way. Don't be misinformed. Do your findings very well. And so many people doing videos comparing one country to the other. Most of them have not been there. It is most things that it is what they hear or what they think or what they've seen, or maybe a sample out of 1,000, and they just commonize the whole thing. They use that one thing they have seen to judge all the whole to judge the whole situation, which is not supposed to be. Now somebody was talking about Germany. You cannot go to Germany for students, and later on you become a citizen. That is a fallacy. Now you can go to Germany as a student, and after your study you obtain job. Even you can even go to Germany now without learning their language to get a visa. And there is no way you will get there that you won't, because if in a place where that is what they speak, that's their official language, that is their culture, that is their values, their way of life. In Germany now, almost 90 or 95% speak in Dutch. So you will learn, even if you have an employment or a career where they employ you, you can speak English, you will still learn. So don't be discouraged by anybody. Anywhere you want to go, face your life. Do it. Put all what it takes in it. And before you know it, you become successful. Not everybody go Canada, or not everybody go US. Or even people where God don't destiny say they go there. It might not be the first route. Maybe you are in Nigeria and God don't destiny you say, now abroad you go live. I mean, for us who are religious anyway. For us who are religious, and you won't come think say once you apply for US they will give you like that. If it be say maybe na that Ghana by our side there, now you go first travel to, and you may meet somebody there who is from US. Maybe you and now you get into relationship, or some other ways, or maybe in a place where they know even they speak English. Now you go first travel to first. Now you go first travel to. Before you now connect, maybe you go back to Nigeria, you still apply, you go back, before you finally end up in where God wants you to be. So, no follow another person's clock work. No let them use their own, so many people with all this our advice on vloggings, on blog. We don't misorientate so many people. They don't misinform so many people with different information. Information is power. Information is good. Take it, imbibe it, assimilate it, use it to work for your own. Your own case is different from my case. My case is different from your case. So, please, be informed, be educated, and be liberal enough. Don't let anybody deceive you. Wherever it is, you have opportunity to grow. You have opportunity to grow anywhere. Even in Nigeria, there are so many people that are growing in that same Nigeria. There are so many people. So it depends on where God wants you to be part-time. It depends. There are so many rich people back home doing very well. But above all, please, wherever you will go, that will earn you the passport, where you can travel the whole world, that is where I will advise you to go. Wherever country you will go, that when you have their citizenship, you will get free visa to travel anywhere, to settle anywhere. It will be easier for you to settle down anywhere. Because, for example, now, if you're an Italian citizen, it's easier for you to go settle down in America. If you're a French citizen or an European citizen at large, it's easier for you to migrate to Canada, to go settle there. Because they exchange values. Unlike a Nigerian citizen, you have to go through, it has to be like an horse going through the eyes of a needle compared to an European citizen. So wherever you will go, even some European citizens, their passports are more powerful than what is obtainable in Canada America. For example, talk about Luxembourg, talk about Italy, talk about is it Spain? They scale up even above America and Canada. So wherever you will go, some people say don't go to South Korea, don't go to see. There are so many Nigerians in South Korea doing beautifully well, beautifully well. There are so many people. Why are we like this? Eh? Why are we like this? We are no more colonized. Why are we as well? Be informed, be guided. So I think I've been able to do justice to this. If you don't agree with me, please argue with your pen. You can make a comment, or if you want to give us insight, more insight into this, because we've not traveled the whole world, and we know it's an opportunity. If we have you where we have not been to, you can tell us what is obtainable where you are located. It's a chance for us to meet here, uh, and I need you to please follow this path with me. Uh, my name is Ogbeni Bobby. I cherish my identity. God bless you.